Rick here. Let's call ourselves to order. Meeting of the West Newbury Board of Selectmen, October 5th, 2020. It is 7:11. Thank you all for your patience. This meeting is being broadcast on local cable TV and recorded for rebroadcast on the local cable channels and on the internet. The meeting is also accessible by remote participation. It's a Zoom meeting. The phone number to do it by cell phone is 646-558-8656. The meeting identification number is 993-9005-5073. And the code to get into the meeting is 662996. The most important thing to mention is that the special fall town meeting is going to take place October 17th at 10 a.m. at the behind at the bandstand and on the Bachelor Street fields. Angus, did we confirm or not if there's going to be a pre-meeting or no?
Not officially. I'd look to the board to do that tonight. I would say I would recommend it, and I know the moderator agrees. She and I are on the same page with that, and we are both available on Wednesday, October 14th at 6 p.m. So if that's agreeable to the board, I would say we would go ahead and schedule that and get it on people's calendars.
I certainly, we got a lot of positive feedback from the people that did that had questions about the meeting ahead of for the annual town meeting. I think it saved a lot of questions at the actual outdoor meeting. So it was a viable. It was not a waste of an hour. It was a worthwhile hour. Any comments from anyone else?
Yeah, I agree. Last time it was pretty productive, I thought, and it answered a number of questions, at least for those people who participated or maybe looked at it last or later. It definitely clarified some of the issues. Fortunately, this is a lot shorter agenda this time.
Good. So as long as I don't think we need the quorum of the board there, although certainly every one of you is very welcome. But I think as long as one of you can commit to be there on the 14th at 6 p.m., that would be ideal. We could do it without a board member, but of course it would be great to have the board represented.
Yeah, I'm putting in my schedule right now, so I'll plan to be there. I'm not sure who else will be, but
I can do that, Tom. Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
I can be there.
The certain changes in the Commonwealth's response to the COVID-19 crisis have been posted to the Board of Health's website. I don't think we need to go into them in depth right now. Not really big changes that will affect our municipality, but anyone that wants to look at outdoor meetings and indoor meetings, how they've changed it. The changes have been relatively small at the moment. There is on Wednesday, same day, Wednesday, October 14th, from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the town offices. There will be a Red Cross blood drive, and that's always a valuable and worthwhile thing to attend.
And you do have to make an appointment, correct?
yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that was part of the announcement.
Yeah, Angus, what's the who would people call?
That would be the health agent.
Okay.
Actually, I let me correct myself. The notice itself says to contact the Red Cross directly to schedule.
Yeah, it does. The notice says an 800 number, 1-800 Red Cross or 1-800-733-2767 or redcrossblood.org to schedule an appointment. So again, that's October 14th from 8 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon.
Yeah, so it is easy to schedule online, and having done it both ways myself before, if anybody can do it online, it's probably quicker for you than waiting to do it on the phone.
Okay. Just as a note of information, people wondering whether their water isn't quite the color it normally is. The Newburyport is flushing their hydrants right now. Some of the Newburyport water is obviously mixed in with the West Newbury water, so there might be a little effect there. And the West Newbury itself is going to be flushing their hydrants relatively soon. I'll have to look at the date. Actually, I don't have it right in front, but very shortly.
I think it's not next week, but the week after that.
Okay. For people that need something to do especially on their Monday nights, the Finance Committee is still looking for one member. The Zoning Board of Appeals is looking for an associate member, and there are other open volunteer openings for committees and boards in the town. Go to the town website and check that out, and also to get on the email list for town announcements, www.wnewbury.org/subscribe. Our first order of business is a request to add Celeste Edwards to the Council on Aging and also the Historical Commission. I don't see her here. Did she know if she could come on, Angus, or?
I believe so. I know Annie was in touch with her last week. We first got this form I think about 3 weeks ago, and we sent it around to both the Historical Commission and the Council on Aging, and they both expressed a lot of support for this appointment. And I believe Annie had let her know the agenda would have the call-in information. I didn't speak with her personally.
Okay.
But I would recommend the appointments.
I would make a motion to appoint Celeste Edwards to the Council on Aging for a term ending, I don't know.
Let's see. I think I'd have to, my sheets are back in my office, but I want to say this might be a 3-year appointment. But perhaps if you did it to June 30th, and then I could bring it forward for extension if needed, since I don't have the information.
Right, okay. And
Just for the Historical Commission and the Council on Aging,
both.
Correct.
Yeah.
for both positions in one motion. Okay. Well, I'll second that.
All in favor, Archibald, aye.
Parker, aye.
We seem to have lost Glenn, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, no, there he is.
Kemper, aye. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
Oh, that's right. Motor 54. I forgot. Okay.
Yeah, I'm motor. Yeah, it's because it's a Motorola
Right. Yeah.
phone.
No, I forgot. Yeah, I should remember that.
Okay.
Hey, anyway, we can take. It looks like Sam's here. Can we take him out of? Or is this B going to be a long thing?
Well, not in the middle, but.
Does he care? I don't know.
B is gonna be like 30 seconds.
Okay, perfect. It's
Well,
about Halloween. That's sacred to people. We canceling it? Are you canceling Halloween, Archie?
no, I'm no way. That's how dentists generate their business. I'm gonna mandate that everyone,
I think you have a conflict of interest here.
everyone hands out Charleston chews, preferably frozen.
Yeah, that's right. Get all the cavities pulled out.
Okay. At the moment, the guidelines have not been formulated by the Board of Health, but at the moment, the West Newbury Board of Health is of the opinion that we will have a trick or treating in West Newbury, and there are lots of, again, as I mentioned, there are new guidelines on actually on Halloween from the Department of Public Health, from the state. People can go on the Department of Public Health website to look that up. But at the moment, unless things change, we are going to do that, and the regulations will be formulated much closer to the actual Halloween date. As we know, everything changes day to day related to COVID-19. So that's where I'll leave it. Next item. Sam, do you want to tell us about the Americans with Disability Act submission grant?
Yep, absolutely. Good evening. Back in 1990, the ADA, Americans with Disability Act of 1990 was put in place. At that time, each city and town was supposed to do a self-evaluation of public facilities and, use that to, move improvements forward through their capital plan. So we're about 30 years behind, but better late than never. A lot of small towns are, so we're not the only ones, so don't feel too bad. We just did the same thing in Groveland last year and got this same grant. The grant basically gets us money and professional services to meet this criteria of developing this self-evaluation and plan. It doesn't add to our list of things to do. It doesn't add to monies we have to spend. It just takes and identifies the issues we already have, puts them in a format that we can start looking at them, and if we can fit them into capital plans, great. And it also opens up the door for other grants to actually make the improvements. But the first step is getting this grant through.
In terms of your responsibilities with the school building project and stuff, do you think this is going to put an overdue burden on you and other people in the town?
No, I think, really it's a great opportunity to take some of the burden off of me and put it on someone who solely focuses on doing this type of work. I'm very familiar with it, but, I also do half a dozen other things. The folks that we get with this grant are specifically from the Office on Disability, and this is all they do. So it's very thorough. Again, doesn't cost us anything if we get the grant. Groveland, we were handed, I sent Angus a copy, a binder of a couple hundred pages of recommended policies, procedures, improvements. And it was all done by someone else. We just had to put our hand out and take it. So I even if we don't do the grant, we still have the obligation to do the work. And then it just falls on me, which is why I'm so interested in having this approved.
So
I would ask,
after we get that 200 pages of information, how long do we have to, fix problems or adhere to those recommendations?
Yep. So, and that's the question everyone always asks, and the concern that they have is once we identify them, now will we be under the microscope and have to fix them tomorrow? Absolutely not. The same criteria we have now will apply then. We are obligated to make the corrections when we're able to do them, and as soon as we can do them. It doesn't change. I mean, we know that there's deficiencies right now. it's a matter of getting them in a comprehensive list, getting them in our capital plan. That way, if we do get in trouble where the state comes in and says, hey, you know what, we've got a problem at the school that this isn't accessible, we at least can show that we've made that effort to, put the list together and start planning. If we do nothing, then we're in a much worse position, because if they come in and it's the what have you done, and we say, well, 30 years has passed, we've done absolutely nothing, then we look like we're just irresponsible and not doing any work to move ourselves forward.
So we're not red flagging it to, oh, look at all the stuff they have, and they're gonna then scrutinize us more.
No, and that's one of the things that the Office on Disability realizes, is that no one would do this in their right mind if all of a sudden it put a target on their back. Their interest is in us identifying it, taking that list and putting in a plan, whether the plan's, something will be able to actualize or not. I don't, that's to be seen, but at least we have a plan in place. And again, it makes us eligible to apply for the next round of grants, which would be the improvements. Right now, we're not even eligible because we don't have this in place.
Okay.
Does this look at just like our buildings and stuff, or does this take into account our recreation areas, trails, fields, accessibility, handicap accessibility to fields, or stuff like that? I don't know.
Yep, all public facilities. So trails, playgrounds, fields, anything that is public use that is owned by the town will be looked at, and will be given a recommendation on.
What about the is the paid school under our purview or the district's purview in this situation?
And that's one of the things I'd have to discuss with the person doing it. I would assume that we could include it based on what we found with the grant we got in Groveland. We actually didn't use the full $10,000 we were awarded. We turned some back, and we had them look at a couple other things that were of interest to us, potential parcels. So I don't see why they wouldn't look at it if it's within the budget amount. Really, they're doing it at our request for what we would do for our self-evaluation.
So I guess
I'd make a motion that give approval for him to apply for the grant.
Yeah, I
Authorization.
second that. I can't see any reason not to.
Angus, is that okay?
It is, yeah. It's as I said in my memo to you guys, it's in some ways my real initial thought when I hired Sam last winter was this was something I had asked him to focus on, this set of issues, because I was aware that there was a backlog, and so I appreciate he's brought this forward more recently. Obviously, we're drowning, so when he brought it to me a couple of weeks ago, I said, I'm not so sure that's the right time. But as we talked it through, as he said, these are requirements anyway, so having the outside support is helpful. Secondly, I think the point about the capital planning, as you know, we've made tremendous strides in that area, and we have, I believe, 96 different projects on our capital list between town and water. And if you think about it right now, if those are not fully reflective of accessibility improvements, it's kind of not fair, because those accessibility improvements, whether we articulate them or not, they're out there. So they ought to be, on that list. And it's a long list. It's not going to get done overnight or in 2 years or 5 years or 10. But I think it's important to have a complete list of needs. And then finally, Sam and I have both expended a really significant number of hours just in the time he's been with us since about the first of the year, looking at different issue-specific questions or location-specific questions, typically to do with nature trails or sidewalks, and often improvements funded by a private party where we need to let them know the standards. And so I think if we can help to raise the collective level of awareness of what the applicable standards are, I think it actually could save time rather than things kind of flaring up. Because I do think the community, some members of the community, I think, have been on a learning curve with this issue. And Sam's brought a lot of a lot of knowledge, which has been helpful.
Okay.
And yeah, I think, and I did, Sam also has committed to administer the grant. So there's always some impact on the finance department setting up accounts and processing invoices. But if he's going to be the project manager and the public liaison, that's a big, that eases a lot of concern I would have had.
Yeah, there shouldn't be a whole lot of work outside of my office to be done. At least that's the intent.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion to support the building inspector going ahead with this grant, Archibald, aye.
Kemper, aye.
Parker, aye.
Thank you,
Great.
Stan.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good night.
Thank you, Sam. You
Thanks,
too.
Sam.
Next item is a look at the FinCom booklet. I don't have any comments. Good.
And yeah, it was really, just informational, partly to, we don't have a whole lot of public watching on Zoom. Who knows if people are on with cable, but we want to obviously make sure people are aware that the booklet's now broadly available. It's linked from the town homepage, and it's in a hard copy in the same, usual places around town, pizza shop and town offices and so forth. So I think the FinCom did a really nice job on short notice, and I would like to publicly recognize that. Granted, it's not a huge agenda, but there's some complexity to it, and they really rolled up their sleeves and got this done in very short time.
Absolutely. Really short. It's great. Is it?
I feel the same way, Archie. I have no.
Has it been posted to the website?
Yes, yeah, it's
Yeah.
posted from the homepage.
There's a link right on the homepage.
Yeah, and it's on the finance committee page as well.
I don't have any comment just because it was done well, and I want to thank them. Thank you.
Next item is review of the motion.
So I did, I don't know if all of you have received this. I just sent it out a short time before the executive session. So you didn't have a lot of lead time at all on this, but if you didn't look at it and you have access to email, you have draft motions in your email just sometime before 6 p.m. So Mike had put these together earlier today, and I just had to fill in a couple of blanks. So I don't know, Mike, do we want to just walk the board through them kind of one at a time?
Sure.
I've got it on my phone. Yeah.
Okay, let's walk. There are only 8, so it should be quick.
Do I
First
need to
one-
download them?
They're really pretty straightforward.
Okay, then I'm not going to bother. I was downloading them just so I could look at them. Never mind.
Yeah, I think they're really very straightforward.
Okay.
Okay, number 1, obviously, that's reports. There are no motions, but I just put reports are at the discretion of the moderator. That's what you guys talked about.
Right. And I would request that anybody that wants to give a report to really give the town and the moderator some lead time to know that.
Okay.
And that we'd like to have them. What did we say? 5? Did we say 5 minutes or less?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right, number 2, basically is I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $80,953 from the school stabilization fund to pay the town share of debt service associated with the building of the new Pentucket Middle High School. And that's a 2/3 vote. Number 3 is the omnibus budget changes, and I copy the same language that we used for the article omnibus budget in the spring. So it says that I move that the amounts of money set forth in the printed report of the Finance Committee for the October 17th, 2020 special town meeting be appropriated as amended hereby for the several purposes therein itemized, each numbered item being considered a separate appropriation, and that the same be expended only for such purposes, that the sum of $234,760 be deducted from the total line item budget adopted by the motion pursuant to Article 3 of the annual town meeting held on June 27th, 2020, and that the town raise and appropriate the sum of $16,303,921 for the total line item budget for fiscal year 2021.
Mike, is that the
So we're going to
article?
do that. Go ahead.
Is that the article where we need to make specific mention of the warranty and maintenance plan being a 5-year plan? Where that
Yes.
wording has to be incorporated in the article?
Yeah, so my suggestion would be is that we offer a hold on that article, and that then just add an amendment. We suggest an amendment that the town be authorized to enter into a 5-year warranty pursuant, to that budget for the warranty.
Rather than putting it in ahead of time to
Well, because basically she's reading off the numbers.
okay,
She's reading it just like the omnibus budget. So if someone puts a hold, we can make an amendment as long as the Finance Committee, I think, is aware that's the process we're going to use, and everyone's in agreement with that, then I think the amendment will pass.
Okay.
That's a good catch, Rick, because that is going to be important to have that stated.
Right, yeah, no,
Right.
it was very specific that to be there, yeah.
And that's why the motion as amended hereby. You see, so that's what the amendment in the notes that of the town clerk. I'll go over each line item and I will include the language that this amendment was included in it, and that'll be the final report of the town.
okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
what
yeah,
I should
maybe we should talk, not tonight, but at another time, we should talk about the exact wording of that amendment.
yes, yeah, we'll have that
Yeah.
ready to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Okay.
Article 4 is I move that the town transfer the sum of $220,000 from the, I have the assessor's released overlay reserve account, but Stephanie has suggested that I just call it the overlay reserve account to reduce the fiscal year 2021 year tax rate. Okay. Article 5, I move that the town vote to appropriate in anticipation of water department revenue, the sum of $14,920 for insurances. Article 6.
Does it need to say health insurances or
I'm-
just insurances?
We just have it as insurances on the annual budget, right?
Okay, fine.
Yeah, he's
Fine,
using the
fine.
same language as the original
Fine,
budget.
fine.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm
Okay.
I'm a little messed, I'm a little
but in
messed
terms
up
of-
right now. They just threw an interception, so I'm kind of, never mind.
Okay. All right. Article 6, I move that the town transfer from the stabilization account the sum of $240,000 to purchase a new dump truck with plow and spreader to replace the 2008 International dump truck with the same or compatible equipment, and to dispose of the existing dump truck in accordance with the town policy for disposal of surplus income. Any remaining funds will be closed off to the undesignated fund balance at the close of fiscal year 2023.
Good.
Article 7, I move that the town vote to extend the sunset clause for the purchase of the new fire department rescue vehicle as adopted under the motion for Article 18 of the annual town meeting on April 29th, 2019, for a period of 1 year until June 30th, 2022.
Good.
Good.
And then the last one is the zoning one. I move that the town amend sections of the West Newbury zoning bylaw as set forth in the Appendix B 2020 Special Town Meeting Article number 8, pages 8 through 12 of the Finance Committee booklet, October 17th, 2020. That's it.
So is that a 2/3 also?
That will be a 2/3 vote also, yes.
Sounds good.
Okay. All good. Next, town manager updates. Number F, update on the site testing at the Coffin Street site and correspondence with the developer. Angus?
Yeah, so this has been it's a little bit frustrating to us and I believe to, some of the public as well. But the early last week, the developer mobilized some equipment out to the site to do some testing for potential viability for private wells out there. And there are exemptions under the Wetlands Protection Act for certain testing if it is outside of defined resource areas or properly witnessed. And they did have Mass DEP on site on Tuesday. The frustration is the developer has declined our repeated requests to provide our conservation agent access to the land. And that's a little disappointing to us. We would like to have our conservation agent out there. The other open question here is because the resource area delineations have not been formally acted upon by the Conservation Commission, there's not a definitive record as to where the delineations are, which I think makes it more difficult to both for the town to effectively enforce its resource protections, but also for the developer to know where those are. So,
Angus, quick
Yeah.
question.
Yep.
So in the material that was in the packet, tonight's packet, it looks like there was some response from the developer saying that they were outside of the 100-foot buffer. But how does he know that? Because and what are the implications if he is within the 100-foot buffer?
to your first question,
I don't necessarily, maybe it's a rhetorical
Yeah,
question, but I don't know if you have an answer to that, but.
well, I think,
I can't help but wonder.
Mike has said that, there is some risk to anyone who does this testing, even though it is allowed under the regs. If it's later found out that there was an issue, the developer's proceeding at risk. Is that a fair statement, Mike?
Yeah, I mean,
What does risk?
absolutely.
What does risk mean? Can you define that?
Means that if he is prevented from altering the wetlands, and if any work that he does alters the wetlands, then he would be subject to an enforcement action to remediate the problem.
Mm-hmm. Anybody think he is?
We don't know. How
We
can't?
don't know.
Can we fly a drone?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that we need to fly a drone.
I do
Okay.
know the Concom is meeting as we speak. It's their regularly scheduled meeting tonight. And I did speak with the chair last week, and so we don't want to get ahead of them as they're really looking at this in a more detailed way. But I think the bottom line is, we're aware the work is going on. We have our ear to the ground in terms of what's happening, and our conservation agent's been in touch with Mass DEP, and we're continuing to request access. But I do think that in my opinion, the time's come that I'd really like to see the commission go ahead with the ANRAD to open that and to define where those resources are. I think that there's a public interest that would be served by doing that. And that, if it gets to be winter and snow on the ground, I think it would be, unfortunate to let that window close.
Can you tell us what that means? That's an acronym. Was that an acronym for something?
Oh, yeah. The ANRAD, the abbreviated Notice of Resource Area Delineation, it's not a regulatory act. It's not a discretionary act. It's something where the commission is basically blessing the wetland delineations or the vernal pool identification. So the developer puts forward their assertion of where they feel those boundaries are. The commission does a site walk, or it's certainly within their authority to commission a third-party wetland scientist to do the site walk and to either certify or modify those delineations. And then you arrive at a surveyed plan that everybody agrees, or certainly the commission says these are the resource areas, and these are now subject to the legal protections of the Wetlands Protection Act. So that was filed shortly before the pandemic, back in February, I believe it was first filed. And under state legislation, the commission does have the discretion to toll that and to not act under timelines. But, a lot of time has passed, and they have gone forward with other filings for other projects. And, it's their discretion. But I think if we as a town are wanting to protect the resources, and if there's things the developer is allowed to do without a permit testing, it would be, I think the wetlands would be better served by everyone agreeing on where those delineations are, so that we can make sure that they're avoided.
Whose map or delineation or whatever is
He's going by now?
becomes the final? If there's a big discrepancy, how is that adjudicated?
It could be appealed to the Mass DEP if the developer felt that the delineation was wrong. They could appeal that.
The process is,
What happens?
he sets his own wetlands, right? And then we go in there. I mean, a regular thing. He hires somebody. They set the wetlands. The Concom goes in there with our people to make sure that they're right, and then our determination then is the thing that he would appeal. Is that the process?
No, well, the commission would determine where the wetlands are. The developer would provide a preliminary plan basically suggesting where he would. The commission makes its own independent review based with expertise or by themselves, determining, vegetation, soils, and then they show where it is. And if the developer is dissatisfied with the commission's decision, then he has the right to appeal that decision to the Northeast region of the DEP. And then DEP would come out and make a determination. And then if they were unsatisfied with that, they'd have to take it to a administrative judge.
Okay.
Is anybody afraid that he could be doing something out there? And do we have any authority and anything to go out there? Or can he just do what he wants? I mean, we're just satisfied that he's doing that at this time, but do we have any authority to get on the land? I mean, if we feel that wetlands are going to be disturbed?
The only way that you can go on to the wetlands is number one, that he we go pursuant to the application itself as part of the hearing process, or two, you obtain an administrative warrant from a judge suggesting that you want to go, and it would be like any other warrant, suggesting you needed to go on the land because you have a reasonable belief that there's a problem.
Okay.
Okay. Next item is just an update on what's happening with the town's report on the CARES Act and FEMA reimbursement related to COVID-19.
So we, each of these is obviously a multi-step process. The initial submittal we put in June had to provide both known and estimated COVID-related expenses from the start of the pandemic through the end of the calendar year. So we did that at that time, and anything that is assumed to be FEMA reimbursable, the CARES Act would only pick up 25% of those expenses. And part of the commitment you make is that you will seek FEMA reimbursement for the balance of the 75%. So we submitted the initial CARES Act certification back in June, and the quarterly report was due about 10 days ago for how those monies were actually spent. So we put that in timely, and we are now working toward the second phase of cost certification for CARES Act, which is everything from July 1st to the end of December. And just as the June submittal is a combination of known expenses, which we track on a current basis, as well as projected expenses. So it's a little bit different than a FEMA filing, where it typically would be after the fact and you know what your expenses were. The CARES Act is different because it's a combination of known expenses and projected expenses. So the second phase of CARES certification is October 30th. But in the meantime, we just learned last week that the deadline for the FEMA filing is October 15th. So we started working on that back in July, my office with Leanne, and we met and had conference calls and things. And but it was just recently that we learned about the deadline, and the October 15th deadline is for every cost through September 15th. So we're right now working to take the data that we assembled for CARES and put it into the format that FEMA requires. And I think we'll be in good shape to do that. FEMA is a little bit more onerous in terms of the documentation, but that we've known that all along, so that's not a surprise. And we've been keeping copies of invoices and things as we go. Basically, I put this on just as an informational item because it is, it has gobbled up a significant amount of staff time, and it will in the next, really going forward, but certainly in the next, the remainder of this week and next week, it's a big focus that's taking a fair amount of time. But I think we're in good shape. We're not drawing, anywhere near. I mean, I guess the total amounts with CARES, if you keep in mind that it's, most of the expenses are discounted by 75%, meaning you're only getting 25 cents for every dollar you spend. I don't have a, projection through the end of this year, but for what we put in back in June, we only got about a little under $8,600 with the balance of those actual expenses expected to be reimbursed from FEMA. Which as of right now, we're a little over 20,000 on what we expect to put in for FEMA. I think that number could go up, and the CARES projection of costs from kind of now through the end of the calendar year. We're still working on that. So, but in the grand scheme of things, you know, we're a small fish.
Next item, there's been some further developments on the design contract for the car post. So where do we stand on that now?
What was it? Mark Rich over at KP Law gave us a draft last week, and he and I went over it. I had some suggestions. He's forwarded the suggestion, the input into me, and I've gone over that, and I got a conference scheduled with him tomorrow, and I think we're going to wrap it up what we want to send it on to the designer tomorrow.
Great.
Great news. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is there was some damage to the animal control officer vehicle. That West Newbury is responsible for the vehicle in our joint agreement with the city of Newburyport for animal control services. So this is kind of our problem, I would say. So what's up with that, Angus?
So yeah, the vehicle was damaged. You know, when they got those parking lots in Newburyport with those very high granite curbs, the vehicle actually took a turn that was a little too sharp and basically hit one of the curbs. And the photos didn't look too bad, but when it got to the repair shop and the insurance company sent their own appraiser out, they notified us that it was a total loss. So that was a surprise. But we have not yet gotten the complete appraisal report. We expected that by the end of last week. It hasn't come in. We did get a note from the insurance rep late today saying that that's still, you know, we're going to get that any minute now. But until we receive that, we don't know what the total settlement will be, meaning the total amount insurance will pay. But I talked to her a couple of times last week, and she did say that they're going to cover the replacement costs, so not the depreciated cost of that actual vehicle. They're going to cover the replacement cost. So we cautiously, or we hope that it's going to be enough that it could buy a new vehicle. We don't have anything budgeted toward a new vehicle other than the new vehicle that we're working towards. So.
Well, just Angus, I mean, that sounds great, but why would they cover a new vehicle when this is obviously a vehicle was already donated from the police? It was, it's already got some significant mileage on it. Why are they doing that for us?
Well, that's our policy.
Okay.
But then the question becomes, okay, what's the right vehicle, and is there flexibility if we decide that a Ford Explorer isn't the right vehicle for that purpose? And so the chief has recommended that a pickup truck might be more appropriate for the animal control vehicle. So he received a quote on a pickup truck, but we've got to wait and see what insurance covers, and then we can look at what our options are. And then, of course, the other factor that I referenced in my memo is the green communities and the commitment to purchase fuel efficient vehicles. So I spoke to the chief earlier today, and I sent him the guidance from the state in terms of what that means and how that is applied to different types of vehicles. So we still have some work to do on this, but this another issue that's taken a fair amount of time.
So what's going to happen in the interim? Like if someone has to if they have to pick up a dog or something, what's happening?
So we did get confirmation from insurance that they would cover rental costs up to a point, which is to say for 30 days. And I believe it was a maximum of $50 a day. So $1,500 was the maximum they would pay toward rental. So we have started a rental vehicle because the for a short amount of time, maybe a couple of days, the animal control officer was actually using her personal vehicle, which is obviously not good. You know, you don't want that. So we do now have a rental vehicle, but that only goes 30 days. So that's where kind of we're trying to press insurance on. We need to know what the appraisal and what the loss is so that we can make a decision and go forward, because we can't just tread water indefinitely.
The pickup truck, you said the chief thought the pickup truck, but what is the animal control? Was that the recommendation from the animal control officer? I mean, I would hate to have, I would like to have her input, making sure the vehicle would be appropriate.
I know he was in touch with that office, but yeah, with things like dead animals on the road, something like a pickup, or you could have the crates in the back to hold the larger animals. But no decision's been made on that. We're just looking at what the options are.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Last item, the 20.
Actually, Archie, sorry, I was trying to come off, hey, Archie, just a quick, Angus, so the, if it actually is a new vehicle, it may not be hard to meet the green community's standard on a fuel efficient vehicle. It probably almost by default will, if it's a new vehicle.
Yeah, it looked, if I'm reading it right, if it did end up being a 2x4 or a 4x4 pickup, I think it was in the range of like 18 to 20 miles per gallon. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Which doesn't seem,
Yeah, I haven't looked at that recently because it hasn't been relevant, but but my recollection from the past is that it wasn't a super high hurdle, and we might even be able to almost inevitably beat it by a substantial margin. So, I mean, time will tell, I guess, when they actually look at the vehicle, but I don't think that's going to be a big deal.
Right.
As long as we're not getting a Corvette.
We get a new Tesla when they come out.
That would be the fuel efficient standard. And it's got a frunk.
Yeah.
Final item, the FY20 audit. So is that starting yet or what?
They are, the auditor's firm's going to be here beginning the week of October 19th, so right after town meeting. So the finance department's been hard at work, really going back to, they're never not hard at work. And audit is always kind of front of mind, but certainly the June to early fall timeframe, that's a huge focus. Obviously, is closing out the prior fiscal year. So I think we're going to be on track where we need to be for October 19th. There have been some some challenges closing out the year, but we're working on it every day, and I think we'll be in good shape. So at that point, we'll also we can schedule a presentation of the audit once we have an estimated timeline of when that'll be done. Typically, the books would be closed and formally closed this fall. Sometimes it takes a little longer for the management letter to get all worked out, but obviously we'll have all the books closed timely to get free cash certified, and I'll do all the required filings with Mass DOR.
Okay. Future agenda stuff?
Yes.
If I could put on a future agenda, and I'll get the backup material on this for you, Archie, and stuff, and for Angus, that just scheduling of town fields. If we could just have a discussion about that at our next meeting. And I'm going to talk to Wayne about that too. So then he'll be able to send you some information. Thank you.
Glenn, when you said that just now, did you mean to say scheduling of mowing of town fields?
Yes.
Okay,
What did I
I think
say?
all you said was scheduling, at least all I heard was scheduling of town fields.
I'm sorry, mowing, correct.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay. Yeah, just to make it clear for everybody. Okay.
Thank you.
Do we, anticipate needing to have any just
A meeting before town meeting?
exactly, yeah.
I would just always do it, and if we don't do it, we don't do it. It's,
Something can always crop up, yeah.
if we don't do, we've always, if we don't do it, it's one of those, what's that thing? If you don't do it, we'll need it, and if we do it, we won't need it.
Right. So let's say
Half an hour?
yeah, okay. 8, which would be 9:30 on Saturday. Which would be at the bandstand at 9:30.
Okay. Wow.
So Angus, any other on that note, any anything that needs doing, or everything's good in terms of going forward with the meeting outdoors that day? And no, nothing's cropped up.
Well, something's cropped up, but I don't think it'll be. So I think we're good for October. I know we're good for October 17th. As you know, October 18th, that Sunday, is been posted as the rain date. And there is, if there does end up being rain, and if it goes forward on the 18th, it will be especially important to keep the proceedings somewhat efficient, because there is a scheduled Eagle Scout recognition ceremony scheduled for the bandstand to begin at 1 p.m. on Sunday the 18th, and there would be some required setup for that. So while the facility forum has a 1 p.m. start, we know the organizers would very much like to have access to it closer to noon. So that's we have a so that's kind of a wrinkle if it rains.
I still think it's not going to take 2 hours.
I really don't. I'm not really too concerned about it, because we had how many articles on the June one? I think 34 or something like that, and I think we were largely done by about 1 anyway. And so with 7 articles or 8, I wouldn't think it would be an issue, but it's something to be for you to be aware of.
Going to be 65 degrees, starting on the 46, with a 20% chance of rain on the 17th.
Is that the long range forecast?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you just making that up, Glenn?
No.
That
The Weather Channel, 10-day.
That's what it was like 2 years ago, so it'll be like that this time.
Is that the Farmer's Almanac there?
No, whatever. Hey, listen.
That was a dartboard, wasn't it?
Yeah, you guys better listen to me, because if anybody thought, I bet that Kansas City would only get 6 points in the first half, and the Patriots would have 3. I bet that. So everybody thought it was going to be like 30-0. So I'm pretty good with predictions.
Oh, I've got a tape, so don't.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, you're going to be mad because I won't get into it, but they've blown some big calls for the Patriots. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Have a good night, gentlemen.
Thank you all.
And ladies. Bye, Jen. I haven't seen you in such a long time. I can see you on here.